Is to turn your mic on and off.
Can you hear me? Testing? Yeah.
Yeah, you need to bend it towards you. You can turn it off.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Neighborhood Council RNCC meeting today. It's March 11th, 7:01. We're going to start the meeting. Before we start, I'd like to mention that we're being recorded and that if you could be respectful of speakers and ask questions that are on topic. So we'll start with introductions first, and to my left, Rock, would you like to start out?
Rock Brown, the treasurer of the East Richmond Neighborhood Council and Sergeant at Arms of the RNCC. No report.
Jan Mignoni, president of the North and East Neighborhood Council and the treasurer for the RNCC. We're going to have our first in-person meeting, or actually hybrid meeting, at the end of this month on the fourth Wednesday of the month, so it's going to be kind of interesting. Let's see how this works. We've been trying to get our beat officer there, so hopefully I can get that all straightened out so we have a beat officer there. But I think people are going to come out a little bit more. They've been asking me, when are we having a meeting in person? So.
Hello, my name is GARLAND. I'm president of the Richmond Annex Neighborhood Council, also the public information officer for the RNCC. We had a neighborhood meeting in February, had a few people there, including a substitute for our beat officer. And our next meeting will be in April.
Josephine Velasquez from the May Valley Neighborhood Council, Vice President and Secretary of the RNCC. No report.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Garetha Johnson, President of Parchester Village Neighborhood Council and Director at Large at the RNCC. And we have our meeting tomorrow for the neighborhood. We're starting to have it every other month. But we did have a dump, our first one of our cleanup days for Parchester, which was kind of slow, but it was still quite a bit because we had 4 different sites. And I know that we had 2 trucks for each dump, for each site. So that's like 8 trucks plus our metal. So I don't know, I'm hopeful that our next one will be a little better advertised so that we can get more people out, so we can keep things clean. So that's all.
Hi, I am Lori Hart. I am the Secretary of the Parchester Village Neighborhood Council and Director at Large for RNCC. And we also had our hybrid, Jan, and just a heads up, we needed a speaker. It was bad. People on Zoom couldn't hear the people that were in there. So I went and bought a microphone speaker and tested it out, and it helped a lot.
Well, I guess I'll give my report. Well, if I can ask the folks in the audience to maybe make a line at the mic so they can introduce themselves. While that's being done, my name's Ardo Rentila. I'm the chair of the RNCC, and I was actually lucky enough to go to Washington, D.C. on behalf of West County Wastewater. There were 4 of us. I got to meet with the cyber security and artificial intelligence people. We had a presentation. The congressional staff members gave us presentations to get out the vote. And we talked, I was able to secure a meeting with the EPA and talk about Richmond and the 250 Superfund sites we have and all the pollution. As far as our neighborhood council meeting, we will be having Michelle Milam this month on the 28th. And That will be at the Hilltop Community Church on the 28th, Thursday night, 7 p.m. at 3118 Shane Drive. So I see Bryce.
Hi, Bryce Olivan, representing Metro Square and Richmore Village. Nothing to report from our neighborhood. Thank you.
Cordell Handler, Park Plaza Neighborhood Council and acting representing PRNC. So at our last meeting, we had quite a good turnout. We had Marsha Valier to come and speak to us about the Ferry Point PG&E. So our next meeting will be March 27th, which is the day before your meeting, Ardo. That's it.
Good evening, Suzanne Coffey, Santa Fe Neighborhood Council. We've been meeting every other month, so we will not be meeting in the month of March. We meet the fourth Thursday of the month. We also have our neighborhood cleanup this weekend, and we are being one of the sponsors of this weekend's Sisters in Solidarity event that's happening from 10 to 2 at City Hall, and invite people to look it up, register online, and come on down. It's a great event. It includes free lunch. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is Stephanie Nine with the City of Richmond Community Services Department, and I am also the staff liaison to the RNCC.
Good evening, everyone. This is Milam, Crime Prevention Manager for the Richmond Police Department, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. And do we have some folks online that would like to introduce themselves? And if you have a report from your neighborhood council, please feel free to. Thank you.
If you're online and you'd like to speak, please raise your hand. Thank you. A couple. Crystal?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great, thank you. Hi, I'm Crystal Barton. I'm the president of the Laurel Park Neighborhood Council. And I guess to report out just basically on April 15th, we're gonna have our meeting, our quarterly meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Philip? Rosenthal?
Hello, everybody. I'm Philip Rosenthal from the Point Richmond Neighborhood Council. Our upcoming we have dumpster day as well. We're right next door to Santa Fe, so they set up in both locations. And just a heads up, we are going to do a usable exchange on the sidewalk. So as people come to unload their items, if they have something that's in good condition, we're going to lay it on the sidewalk and it'll stay there the whole time until just before the dumpsters go away. And I'll post on Nextdoor if we have some good stuff you can come and take. And then our next meeting is Wednesday, the 27th. We will continue the Veolia pumping station conversation with Marsha Valier, and we will have Veolia representatives offering tours, and Santa Fe will be filled in on this, offering tours of the facility and answering questions we've had about the tumultuous relationship between Veolia and our community.
Okay. LaShondra?
Good evening. My name is LaShonda White, Deputy City Manager for Community Services. Happy to be here tonight. I am happy to take any questions that come up on behalf of Lena Velasco during the planning item because she is unfortunately unable to be here. Thank you.
Okay. Marina?
Good evening. I'm Marina Brown. I'm the Shields Reed Neighborhood Council President. We were able to collaborate with NAMI, the Mental Health Department for the county, do 40 Voices with another faith-based community, but we're working on bringing the clothing closet to Shields Reed or North Richmond to make sure that our youth have clothing, because we're finding out that some of our youth do not have clothing and personal hygiene items to make sure that they're staying clean when they're going to school. Are they too ashamed to go to school because they don't have, they're not clean? So we want to bring a clothing closet to North Richmond to Shields Reed. So other than that, that's it. We have our meeting coming up on the 19th, I think it is, because we're doing every other month now. That's it. Thank you.
All right. Dorothy?
Hi, good evening. I'm Dorothy Stewart. I'm representing Coronado Neighborhood Council. I have no report. Thank you.
Richard Diaz, if you, there you go. Richard Diaz?
Hi, good evening.
I guess, Richard, are you still there? We'll come back to Richard later. He'll be introducing himself.
Okay, I don't see
Hey,
any hand.
hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I apologize for the technical issues. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I do apologize. This is Richard Diaz, Emergency Services Manager with the City of Richmond, Office of Emergency Services Fire Department. Pleasure to be here. I want to take the opportunity to simply introduce myself. I came on board in early December, a little bit over 3 months now, and my job is in essence to engage with the community on community preparedness ahead of response operations with the wider city resources. So I look forward to engaging directly with neighborhood councils and their leads. I have engaged so far to some degree, dealing with viola notices and just in general, becoming familiar with the jurisdiction as a whole. As my colleague earlier said, I am open for any questions you may have, and also looking forward to collaborating with the community. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it. That
Hello, can
wraps
you
up
hear me?
our.
Can
Yes?
you hear me?
Yes? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, this is Interim Fire Chief Michael Lee Smith. I must be having some technical difficulties because my hand was raised, but I wasn't acknowledged. Maybe you don't see it. But yes, I'm happy to be here this evening, and I will have a report later under the reports from the city staff.
Thank you. Any others? Anybody else that we may have missed?
My apologies, Michael. Somehow you got moved down to the bottom. Your hand was up and it was there, but no. That is the last person that I see. Is there anybody else?
Good evening, everyone. Police Chief Bisa French here, just listening in, and our Lieutenant of Indicious will be giving the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we get to our speaker of the night, Garland Ellis, our Public Information Officer, do you have anything to report?
Yes, I have several announcements. There's quite a bit of information on the city website, primarily under the city manager's location. There's a whole lot of information from the Recreation Department, more than I could list in the whole 2 hours that we have. There's also job opportunities, but these are the main things that would probably apply to neighborhood councils. Technical Help Tuesday. This is an event that occurs at the Bayview Branch Library. It's from 5 to 6:30 p.m. They will help you set up your email or social media account, basic word processing, accessing ebooks or on any device, and also accessing digital library resources. And this occurs almost every Tuesday. You may want to check with them if you're thinking about going there a month or two ahead, but they are listed for every Tuesday in the next 2 months. Also coming up on Thursday, Senior Transportation Workshop. This will be at the Senior Center at 2525 McDonald Avenue, and it goes from 1 to 3 p.m. They will tell you all the different forms of transportation that you can get around with in the city of Richmond.
It's bigger now.
Also, coming up Thursday is literacy in the age of disinformation. This will be Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. by journalist Robert Rogers, and that will be here in the council chambers. And this is a topic that's in the news a lot, so they're going to discuss it here for you, and you can find out and ask questions. Also, coming up March the 19th, Lawyer in the Library, the Bayview branch, 5 to 6:30. And this will be with regards to tenant rights. Coming up now on Fridays between 8 and 5 is the Farmers Market here at the Civic Center. Coming up in the future, they mentioned it sometime in the spring, will be a Farmers Market in the Marina Bay Park. This will be Sundays 10 to 2. The city of Richmond had an announcement. It's an article that was in the news. It's called 7 by 7. It's called Modern Guide to Richmond, California, a Working Class City Comes Into Its Own. You may want to read that. It lists quite a few eating places and places to visit in Richmond. Now through, I believe it's May 31st, you can apply for the Love Your Block sponsorship program. You can request up to $1,000 to clean up an area in your neighborhood, but you do have to get it in by May the 31st, as the time is limited and also the funds is limited. Community Development Workshop on proposed residential rental inspection program changes. This will be March the 14th, be at the Bermuda Room at the Richmond Auditorium. So if you're a landlord, a tenant, or somewhere in between, you may find information there that'll help you. And last of all, Spring 2024 CERT training. This will begin on March the 28th. It'll be on Thursday evenings from 6 to 8 p.m. This will be at the Richmond Fire Training Center, and that's over on Cutting. And if you do need to register for this ahead of time, and the address is certrichmond@gmail.com. Usually they have limited space for people to register for that. So if you're interested, you want to get in as soon as you can. That's it.
Thank you, Garland. So next we have our special guest tonight, Milam from the Richmond Police Department, Crime Prevention Manager. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much. Sure, I'm on. Okay, you can hear me now. Thank you for having me. I'm Michelle Milam, Crime Prevention Manager for the Richmond Police Department, and I'm really happy to be here today to tell you a little bit about what does the Crime Prevention Unit do, and some of our functions and how we can help assist neighborhood councils. So a little bit about the Crime Prevention Unit. We've been in existence for over 30 years, probably going on 40 years, with some intermittent breaks. It used to be connected to the city manager's office, and then, as some of you guys remember, there was a restructure, and crime prevention was connected then to the police department. And really, it started out of an effort to help reconcile some of the things that went on between the community and the police in the past. I mean, I know we all have those memories of the cowboys and other things that have happened, and there was a whole movement with crime prevention and POW, and Richmond was really kind of ahead of the curb to try to create some of these programs to really connect with the community. And so we have a crime prevention executive board, and our president is Al Perez, and a membership that participates in our crime prevention activities, and they help guide us. So a lot of communities that have community watch, they'll have neighborhood watch groups. We have a combined program where we really have a board of volunteers who help work with us to make the program work. And our focus is to focus on community engagement and policing. So the unit consists of crime prevention manager, myself, crime prevention specialist. Yay, we finally filled the position. It had been vacant for about 3 years during the pandemic. Many of you all remember Mandy Swerzing, who was great, Richmond resident. We have a new crime prevention specialist, Anna Duran, who also is a Richmond resident, who's working with us and is bilingual, so we really appreciate that. We need those skills. And we still have a half-time vacancy, but we're working on trying to beef up. And so there's a couple of different services that we offer. One is engagement and outreach, working with the community. We have special programs. We have education that we do, public education, to really share the word about the police department and crime prevention with the citizens. And then we also have a new component in the last 7 or 8 years of working with the unhoused and being part of the unhoused interdepartmental team. So engagement, I'm not going to go over all of these because I only have 10 minutes and I want to be respectful of time, but we do neighborhood watch and community watch. So if you want to start a neighborhood watch, there's a couple ways to do that. We just had a block captains training a couple of weeks ago. We're going to have another one coming soon because kind of got a little bit of a damper on that, all the people who wanted to sign up because of the internet outage. But we had over 100 people sign up for our block captain training. So obviously people want to get their neighborhood watches started, and we can help you do that. We can help you connect with city services. If you don't know how to deal with, something, or you're figuring out like which department does that, we can help you walk through the steps of trying to do that and connect with the right person. And we do constituent services. We do work with businesses. We just did a walk today of the 23rd Street corridor, had a chance to get out and walk with the chief and meet with the merchants. And we're planning to do other corridors throughout the city. So that's another thing that we do that's positive. We also do a lot of community events, Coffee with a Cop, special community events. You'll see us at Juneteenth, Cinco de Mayo, a lot of different events that are coming up, tabling, getting information out. We also work with schools, neighborhood groups. We do special requests for presentations, safety walks, you name it, we do it. We have programs also that fall under crime prevention. So we have a chaplaincy program. So and these are volunteers. We actually had their meeting tonight, and they volunteer to go out and respond to critical incidents. It could be deaths, homicides, traffic accidents, and be able to offer comfort and care to the family. We also have our crime prevention program, which I talked about earlier. And then we also have volunteers and internships. So this is outside of the Explorers. So we actually have young people who have come in and worked with us over time. Some of our volunteers have gone on to be police officers. One of our former volunteers and interns is now our records supervisor. So it's nice to see people come in and start in crime prevention and then continue in the organization. Block captain training, and then our monthly crime prevention training meetings, which are always on the 4th Wednesday of the month. In addition to our neighborhood watch program. So if you want to know, how can I start that neighborhood watch? There's a lot of stuff going on my block. How can I get my neighbors organized? That's what we'll come in and do, and we'll show you how to connect with the police department, who to call, how to set things up. We do an education program. So we have printed information that we provide. So if you guys need any kind of flyers, those kinds of things, you can always call us. We also do digital information so that you can share that with your neighborhood councils. Sometimes people say, well, I need somebody to come for the meeting, or I need some information that I can put out in my newsletter. Feel free to just drop us an email and say, hey, Michelle, we need some information about auto theft, or we need some information about some of these break-ins that are happening. We're happy to get that out to you. We do safety support for schools. So if a school contacts us, and we've had some of them contact us with issues, we can always connect them to services and be able to connect them to their beat officers. So that's happened quite a bit. Then we also do CPTED, that's crime prevention through environmental design. So you'll be happy to know one of the first places we're gonna do our next major CPTED is going to actually be, the president will be happy, it'll be the Hilltop Corridor with a lot of those apartment communities. And that's where we do really a walkthrough and look at the environmental design of those buildings, the security, the lighting, the access control, and make some recommendations to those property owners of how they can improve their property and work better with the police. I will leave the property nameless, but sometimes you go through some of these properties and you can't even find the unit or the building number. And so that's a little problematic when you're trying to drive around at night and be able to respond to calls for services, so we will help with those kinds of things too. The other thing we do is we do training for officers. So advanced officer school, when that happens, we come in and we train the officers about crime prevention so that they're aware of these services and they know how to work with the community. And then we also do cultural competency training for new officers that are coming in to explain to them, you know, Richmond's a very special place. I guess I can say that because I grew up here and I live here. And you really want people to come in and understand the history of this place and how important it is to connect with each and every one of you. So those are some of the things we do. The other thing I wanted to make sure that we got a chance to talk about is the unhoused stuff. So this is sort of new to the crime prevention unit. I think how this got started is former city manager Bill Lindsay called me up one day in 2017 and said, I have a favor to ask from you, Michelle. And so when the city manager says a favor, you know, he obviously doesn't have to ask for a favor, but he asked me, he said, would you be willing to help staff the homeless task force? Because we're seeing a lot of homelessness grow in Richmond and in the city, and we want to figure out ways that the city can be responsive. And so we joined the unhoused interdepartmental team, which includes myself, housing and community development, other units that come together to help work and administer our unhoused programs. And so one of the things that I want all the neighborhoods to know, especially about encampments, and you probably know this, is we really changed the way we deal with encampments. So it used to be you just called the police if you saw an encampment on Parkway, or you saw one on Hoffman, or you saw one over somewhere else by Central or Lower Mac where people are living in their cars, and the police would just come out and issue a citation. Well, there is a court ruling called Martin versus Boise, and the city of Boise tried to clean up an encampment. And unfortunately, as I think I've mentioned to you all before, they gave people information to a shelter. And when those individuals got to the shelter, they were told, shelters are full. So those individuals actually brought litigation against the city of Boise and say, hey, you can't actually abate this encampment and tell us to leave if there's no place for us to go. And so it was actually a ruling that was held up by the Ninth Circuit and the Supreme Court. And so what that means for us in our camping ordinance is that we have to offer shelter beds, and shelter beds have to be available for us to be able to go and abate unless there's some kind of severe health and safety that we can document. So you'll see here on this little screen, we have a little roadmap because one of the things we had to do is look at the camping ordinance and say, how do we educate our officers, the community, other divisions like Public Works and Parking Enforcement that all deal with folks who are unhoused so that everybody understands what the process is. And so that's one of the things we do is we map the encampments, we get some of the hot spots that are called in. It's not exhaustive because we know encampments change. It could be there one day, you know, on one street and it's on another block the next day, but we try to do our best to identify where those are. We have our core outreach team go out and contact people, say, hey, you know, maybe I can help you. Are you a veteran? Are you in need of health services? What can I do? Maybe there's space in the shelter, and they can offer them resources. They can either accept, decline, but if there isn't a bed available, that's where you see encampments persist for longer periods of time. So what the city decided to do is put some more money into that. And so on December 19th of last year, they ended up approving some additional funds from ARPA to be able to help with emergency housing. And they also were fortunate enough as a city, we got an $8.6 million grant from the state to help people to clean up encampments throughout the city and offer people longer-term housing solutions. And we started our first 2 outreaches last week. So we did a couple different areas. So it was something that I think we're continuing to work on. We have 2 large grants that we've been working on. The city of Richmond, I should let you know, has been watched by every city in the state to see how we're learning from this process of going and being able to offer people some longer term solutions. One piece before I finish and close that might be helpful for you to think about is we are looking at, it's helpful to offer people the interim services. We know we're going to the encampments, we're helping people get rental assistance, reunite with families, get into recovery programs, you know, build up their income, get their disability, but they still need permanent supportive housing because some people are going to have trouble living alone. A lot of the people who are in our unhoused populations are seniors or they're disabled. And so they're going to need some help to be able to live alone and to stop the thing that you guys know that happens is people are at one encampment and they move to another encampment and you're like, okay, Michelle, they're over here. Well, now they've moved over there. We want a way to kind of stop that and really get people permanently indoors. So that's the strategy that we've been working on. And those are a little bit of the facts about things that we do in our unit. We are always open and available for things that are needed. I talked a little bit about ERF 1 and 2. Right now, hopefully I won't be doing that too long, but I'm carrying a caseload of about at least 12 people who are getting emergency housing with Carr. But it's my pleasure to get people in, out of the rain, out of some of the encampments in the neighborhood, and be able to get them at least some of the services that they need so they can get that long-term support and connect them with mental health. We connect with a lot of county organizations, mental health, county, you name it. We've been doing this for quite some time, so we have to learn how to know where the resources are. So if you need the resource, I may not have it, guys, as a neighborhood council, but you can call me the hookup lady. I'll try to find the resource for you if I don't have it, and try to make that call, and we're happy to do that. The best part of my job is you all and the officers, is working with you, because you are what makes Richmond great. And so I have my contact information here, and I'm open for questions.
Lori?
So coffee with a cop, am I buying or are they buying?
We're buying.
Yes, please, one Starbucks.
We are buying. And so, and also, if you want to host a coffee with a cop, if you think, your neighborhood council would like to host one, we would be happy to do that. That's a good idea for a neighborhood meeting too. Let us know.
Do you have a question?
Yes, first, Michelle, I want to thank you for all the work that you've done for, through the years and program after program. No matter what area they send you, you're successful. You're an example in our community. And then I wanted to ask you if you would mind mentioning congratulations to Mandy that's on your staff. That first time I've heard that she's got a good position here. And what makes that so special to me personally being up here is that Mandy grew up right in the same neighborhood as me, and she's been active back when she was a child, helping out with events, and she grew up with it. And I even remember her when she was active with you. One time I was on a BART and seeing that she was taking a young youth to their first ball game. So she's a great example, right? Homegrown from our community. And that's the goal, is that we want examples in our community so they'll want to be active in the future. So thank you to you and everything and your complete staff.
Thank you, and I will let her know. She's moved on from the organization, but she is a jewel, and we want people to come to work here who are from here. That's very important to me, who know the community, so I appreciate it.
Jan?
Michelle, the crime prevention, are you still meeting via Zoom at 4 o'clock?
We still are, and so this coming month, we're going to push that time back a little to 6 because we're having a special chat with Chief French, and Chief French is going to talk a little bit about staffing issues. She's going to also talk about crime and some of her goals and ideas for the department going forward. So we hope you all come and join and bring your questions. Chats with the chief are very popular because people love to talk to her, and we do too, so it'll be an opportunity.
It's the same night as my neighborhood council meeting.
I know. We'll be taping it though, and and there's always opportunities. We tape the meeting, so if people don't get a chance to come, they can see.
Thanks.
Could you come up to the mic?
Thank you so much for your presentation and all the wonderful things that your organization, your part does. With the homeless resources, is there a number that we have now or a ratio of beds to unhoused?
So I probably have to look out what the ratio is. That's a really good question. But in terms of the number that we had at the last count, at least about 800 people that Carr came in contact with through HMIS, that's their homeless information management system, last year. And the county shelter beds, you know, only can provide about 50% of the beds served for the whole entire county. So they're 105% full to capacity right now.
And then one last follow-up on that is if they're given the option, what happens in the next step in the roadmap?
Oh, the next step, if they are given the options of housing, we will pick them up and take them there. Carr can transport them. And if they are part of the ERF2 program, for example, as last week, we had transportation provided to the navigation center. They got a way to put their items in and to store some of the items that they wanted to take with them. And we took them right then and there. So they were able to go directly to the hotel.
Got it. Thank you.
So Michelle, I was looking at one of the slides in the presentation, and you mentioned about the business merchants watch. So what types of businesses have you worked with to, you know, encounter the what do you call it, the unhoused? So, and that's one question. And the second question is I am gonna come with coffee with a cop though, so I'm gonna let that know. So unless you buying, so I'll go with that. That's it.
We're buying. Yeah, thank you. That's a great question, Cordell. And I would say for the merchants, you know, unhoused individuals oftentimes, you know, can be an issue. But there's good relationships with them too. I mean, they can give them food and other things like that. But I think part of the issue ends up being that, you know, if the encampment starts growing and it really is larger than they have the capacity to be able to take care of. So if somebody has a question, they can start out by contacting 211 or Carr, but they can also contact us directly. So I would say contact me. You can email me directly. I will make sure that Carr gets out there, makes contact with those individuals who are either in your neighborhood or by your business. And then we'll go through that process and that step, and then the next step will be if we can get them into services. That's the best outcome, right? Because we can get people into services. And if for some reason we can't, we're going to work and try to find additional services and resources that we can until we can get them served and get the neighborhood also restored and cleaned up in that encampment. And I should say, if you watch City Council, they did approve some additional funding. I think it was, I don't know, $75,000 or something to Public Works to help with K-rails and barriers and other things, so that once we're able to serve people, we can kind of block off some of these streets and areas that are kind of hot spots for this kind of parking and activity. So we're going to be doing a lot of that because it doesn't make sense for us to invest this much in housing and support services and not actually secure those areas once we're finished.
Do we have any questions online? Garland?
Michelle, do you also deal with people that are on, say, county property or Caltrans property that are within the area of Richmond?
That's a great question. So the ERF2 grant from the state, yes, that actually requires us to deal with support services for folks on Caltrans property. We meet with Caltrans monthly and we communicate with them regularly. So if something's happening on Caltrans, they have to take care of their process, but they follow the same process as we do. They call Carr, and then after they call Carr, then they'll begin their noticing, and then they'll do their public noticing process. So that is something, yes, that we do. On county property, it's a little different because it is the county's jurisdiction, so they would follow the same process. They would call Carr. Carr is also a county service too, so it's not that difficult for them, and then they would post a public notice. So we do work together. We actually have meetings with the Richmond San Pablo Carr team, so we share one of our Carr teams with San Pablo, and they help pay into the service so that we're all kind of doing some cost sharing. And so that's something that's been really helpful too.
Any other questions? Okay, well, I'll ask one then. I'm just curious, how do you actually count the people? What's the count today? How do you actually count them? And what happens if you go back and those people are no longer there and they've been funded? Does the money that they're funded for go back into a reserve or?
No, I think for ERF2 purposes, when we go, we're going to go out, we're going to offer that as a service. We'll have a variety of services there. So for example, I'll take South 7th and Hoffman. We came, we set up tables, we had food, you know, the intake tables. Carr went out and Carr did their intake with everybody who was interested. Some people are like, I don't know if I want to give up my RV. You know, we actually even had RV buybacks. So if you wanted to give us the RV and buy it back, we could buy it from you. And some people took that, some people decided not to. And then we went in and we provided and offered the service. Once we're finished there, we can only serve under that grant 110 people. And you best believe the 110 people are going to take this service, because right now the unhoused community, in the time I've been working with them, are very tight knit. I've had so many calls since those first 2 outreaches saying, how can I get in? And the only way to get in is really through the encampment intake process. So we're going to go out, and I wish I had resources to help everybody. I turned away a mom with a couple kids the other day. I don't. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to serve as many people as possible, but we're going to serve that encampment. And once we serve that encampment, we move on to the next one. And so we might encounter that person at the next encampment. We probably will, but we won't hopefully go back to those same encampments again.
So the people that are in RVs versus the people that are in, like, say, the creek beds, for example, living on their own, no vehicles, are they held for, to a higher standard because they don't have any shelter at all, or?
No, we service people in tents and RVs and cars. It really doesn't matter what structure you're in. Under ERF2, it covers them all. But we do have a large vehicle dwelling population, which I don't know that Richmond had at least, 7 or 8 years ago. I think it's grown. But yeah, it doesn't matter what they're in, if they're in a tent or RV or a car.
Well, thank you. Are there any other questions before we let Michelle go? Jan's got a quick question.
Sorry. You brought up the mother with the 2 kids. Can the Family Justice Center help you with that, or is it?
Well, it depends on the situation, but I can say family shelter, sometimes it's easier to get some people in a family shelter if it's available. The challenge we've had lately is just availability. There's so many people and the need is so great. GRIP is great. They'll work with us, but, I love Ralph Payton, but they're full. And we will work with different people. Sometimes I have people in families who don't want to leave their RVs because there's a hesitance to leave the RV because they're like, if I go into a shelter and for some reason I get kicked out or something happens, then I don't have the one asset that I have. And so that's why there's a hesitancy to give up RVs. What we're hoping with this program is people will see, we really want you to come indoors. We want to give you the support system we can. We're not going to promise everybody an apartment, turnkey, because not everybody's ready for that. But what we will come up is as a housing plan for you. And we hope that that's, an attractive incentive for people to say, okay, you know what? I'm ready to give up this RV. The folks in tents usually are more ready to come inside because they're in a tent, and it's cold. But people in RVs have their asset, that's their home. And so that's a little bit of a different negotiation.
So if there are people that want to donate, do you have a phone number where they can donate clothes or money or?
Oh, yeah, that's actually a good one. Well, I think they could contact me and reach out, and then we can start from there if there's people who have items that they have that are donated. One thing that's helpful right now is, clothing is always helpful. Hygiene kits, we were fortunate that the probation department reached out to us, and so they're going to give us actually survival kits that have hygiene kits, blankets, underwear, toothpaste, things that we all need. And those are really helpful because sometimes, and Carr will tell you this, or SOS, just giving somebody a meal, just saying hi to somebody, just building a relationship with somebody goes a long way. There's some people who are mentally ill and addicted, and no matter what you say, they're not ready to kind of heal that because they're not in this space. But a lot of people, if you just offer them a little bit of something, they appreciate that and they remember that. So having those kind of kits are helpful.
And before I let you go, will you be working with Marina Brown from Shields Reed? She did say earlier that she's working with homeless students that can use everything we just talked about.
That's actually, when she said that, I thought about that, yes. So we will find out how many kits we end up getting from probation, and if we have some, I would love to work with Marina.
Thank you.
Really fast, would it be possible, because you said, so we don't overlap on other people, what they're doing with the kits, that you could give us
A
so
list?
many items, work with Ardo and Jana, whoever, give us a kit, like this, you guys do this for a kit, and we have a direction for a kit, we could possibly go to our neighborhoods and put a kit together. We could isolate an area for you, for
Oh,
your
I
kids.
see. Yeah, if you're interested in something like that, I'm happy to give you a list of like what could be in a kit. And if that's something that you guys decide you're interested in, that's fine. And yeah, you know, and maybe that's something that we do and, you know, and it might be helpful to CORE when they go out to your neighborhoods to have these kits. Because that gives people to engage because they're going to come over like, oh, you have a kit. I would love to have that.
Well, I want to thank you for coming in, and we'll try and see what we can do to help you out and get these people off the street nice and warm.
Thank you. I appreciate you and I appreciate everybody for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you. So next we have reports from city staff. Did LaShonda say she was here for Hector or for planning? She was here for Lena.
I am here. Good evening, everyone. LaShonda White again, Deputy City Manager for Community Services. So unfortunately, I don't have a report on behalf of planning, but in case there are questions, topics that you, the RNCC or neighborhood councils want information on, I am here to collect that information, to write down any questions, and I can provide them tonight to Lena and Hector to provide responses to RNCC. So I am
Any
ready
questions?
if anyone has questions.
I see Lori leaning in.
I had sent an email to Lena asking about the golf course. There's an open door on the entrance into Parchester, and I wanted to know what that gate was about. And also the road is really torn up, and I know she forwarded it to someone, but I haven't had a response on what's going on with that. So if you could circle back with Alina and maybe who she forwarded to see if we can get a response as to why there's a gate that's open on a road that should not be in, and to ensure that that is not an entrance or an exit, but maybe they're using it to get materials and equipment back there.
Okay, so open door, there's an open gate by the golf course, and you want to ensure that is not an entrance or exit. And you said the roads are not in good condition? Is that also what I heard?
Well, yeah, that the heavy equipment has torn up that road immensely. So I just want to ensure that they are going to repair that upon conclusion or before they finish with their work.
Okay,
Thank you.
will be repaired upon conclusion of work. All right, thank you so much.
One of the things that have been brought to my attention as the chair of the RNCC is that many of the neighborhood councils are complaining that the projects that are being built in their neighborhoods are no longer coming in front of the neighborhood councils to be heard. And some are surprised and frustrated by that. So maybe that's something you could address with Lena.
So I have that, there are complaints from neighborhood councils that projects that are being built within their communities are not coming before the neighborhood councils.
Correct.
Is that accurate? Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns?
I do see a hand up, but I don't believe it's I don't know if it's my role to call
No.
on people. Okay.
Philip?
Thank
Mr.
you.
Rosenthal.
Thanks so much. I just wanted to kind of jump in on that comment. Not only are the projects not coming before the neighborhood councils, there's been open hostility towards us when we reach out about these projects. And Public Works actually told me that they are instructing their staff to no longer present to the community. So I just wanted to stress that that is a concern for us. The last 5 historic homes that were worked on my block, 5 on one block, have not gone through design review for historic significance, and that's a challenge for us. The other thing I wanted to ask about, which is not my neighborhood, but it seems to be in concern, and I'm not sure I'm asking the right person, is that, or I wanted to comment and ask, what is the status with the Craneway? The mayor's office says they are continuing for 2 months to hear back from Lena but in the meanwhile, they have moved forward and they have already changed the flooring in the Craneway. And I'm wondering if Public Works or if anyone in the city has reached out to any neighborhood council, including the one, I guess it's Marina Bay. I'm not exactly sure what neighborhood the Craneway is in, but it seems a citywide outrage that this is happening. So can somebody comment on how that is continuing to go on?
So Mr. Rosenthal, thank you for your comment. I just want to make sure I've captured it correctly. So I have that you agree projects are not coming before neighborhood councils and that there's even open hostility from staff when reaching out about projects. You gave an example of Public Works stating that they informed you that they instructed staff to not present to the community, that there are at least 5 historic homes within your neighborhood or on your block that have not went to the Historic Preservation Commission for review. And you wanted to understand the status of the Craneway and wanting to know, has anyone reached out to the appropriate neighborhood and that there needs to be citywide outreach? Does that capture your comments?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And planning is one of the departments or the lead department with regards to the Craneway.
Are they here today?
So no, so that's what,
you.
unfortunately, Lena had an emergency come up and she wasn't able to be here tonight. So I am on her behalf, just taking comments, questions, concerns down so I can forward them to her.
I apologize that I was unclear on that. Thank you for taking those notes.
You're welcome. No problem.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Yes, David Alvarado.
Yes,
I had a question before, but the chair asked the person the same question, so I got my question answered. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Now I have Lynn Theriot.
Hi, I'm at Marina Bay, and I had the same question as the speakers before. What's happening, because Marina Bay has never really spoken up about it, about the Craneway and the pickleball courts, and yet the pickleball courts are going in, and there are some of us who really don't think that's an appropriate use for the Craneway. So I think we've got to do something about it.
Thank you, Lynn. And what I have written down is that you have questions regarding the Craneway and pickleball courts. You see that pickleball courts are being installed and some people in the neighborhood do not believe that that is an appropriate use. And so you want an update.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I guess we'll move on to the next speaker. Thank you. Thank you. Next speaker will be Carlos Castro. Are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, RNCC members. I'm Carlos Castro. I'm the supervisor for the Streets Maintenance Division. I apologize if there's any lag, but I'm on my phone. My iPad died. I wasn't ready for that. I just have a real quick update for everybody. We have officially kicked off our paving season. This week, we're starting with a small job, Sheldon Court, which was in really bad shape. That's a pretty easy job, is to make sure all the machinery is working correct, and then we're gonna just start rocking and rolling after that. We have a list of streets, which I won't give out here, but some of the large jobs that we want to do this season are Marina Way, if we can. That one's going to take some coordination. Marina Way between Barrett and Ohio. We want to get that paved. Mead is a street that we want to get paved. It's a street that's out of the way, but it's in really bad shape. It's a secondary road that runs along 580. The other portion of Hensley, we want to try to get that paved. And then Regatta Boulevard by Marina Park, that's in pretty bad shape. We want to try to get that paved. Those are some of our larger jobs. We do have tons of other streets that we want to pave this season. There is no rain scheduled this week, but if you look in in the 10-day forecast, there's a little bit more rain, but as soon as the rain stops all the way, we'll be rocking and rolling with the paving. When I'm done, I'll put my email address in the chat so that if you want to check if your street is on the list or get your street on the list, you can email me and we'll do a site survey and put it on the list where we deem necessary. The sign shop is about 50% complete with all new street name signs on San Pablo Ave within city limits, which is basically around Lowell all the way to El Cerrito city limits. We're about 50% complete with all new street name signs. We're complete with sweeping signs and with the timed parking signs, which is the 2-hour parking, the 20-minute parking. All of those have been refreshed to all new signs. And something that a major project, which the sign shop is going to be working on this season, is completing the rest of the school zones that we didn't get to last summer. And then once that is complete, they will be on a every other year rotation unless they need to be done sooner. There's about a dozen schools left. Some of them just need a little bit of work. Some of them need to, 3 or 4 blocks that need to be repainted and refreshed. So we'll be doing that this summer. The street sweepers, there have been a few routes that were missed within this last month due to mechanical failure or staffing shortage. But all the sweepers are back in service now. And about an hour and a half ago, I did just get an email that says we do have one brand new sweeper that's ready for delivery, which is good news. And then the 5th day this month, we'll be back to sweeping Richmond Parkway due to mechanical failure for the other sweepers. We had to step away from that, but we were able to sweep the causeway on the 5th day. I think it was a Friday in February. And we'll be back to doing that same thing. Any 5th days, we try to get the Richmond Parkway cleaned up. That is all the updates that I have. I am open for any questions.
Yeah, we've got a couple of questions. I'll start off real quick. What are you doing to fill the potholes on the Richmond Parkway?
So we fill them. There's 2 different ways that we fill potholes. One of them is a cold patch, which is basically exactly how it sounds. We have a stockpile of that in our yard. We fill the pothole and we tamp it down, or we wheel roll it, which we back in, drive over it a couple times, or we do a hot mix patch, which depending on what the application needs is what we'll do. But the thing with the cold patch is it's almost like a never-ending battle. It's a temporary fix. The rain is doing a number on our potholes. So we get calls, we fill them up with cold patch, and if it rains really heavy, they get washed out again and we have to go back. We can't do too much hot mix in the rain because it won't stick. You have to put a base layer down of tack oil, which is basically the glue that makes the hot mix stick to the surface that you're repairing. And if it's wet or damp, it won't stick. So the reason we're doing cold patch mainly right now in the rainy season is because that's what you can do in the rainy season. So I know a lot of potholes, you might see them filled and then come back out again. And there's basically nothing we can do about that in the rainy season. Just try to keep them filled.
Thank you. We've got 2 questions. Rock, you want to go first?
Yes, I'll go fast. Carlos, thank you for all the work that you've done. You really can't see a lot of work done on the streets. Appreciate it all when we drive on them every day. With that said, there is one that I mentioned before. It's actually an area my friend lives, so I drive it, and it's south. If you have your pen out, sir, or your pencil, south 54th. It's a small, almost like a comma in a sentence. South 54th between Bayview and South 55th. It runs along the freeway. It's like a little comma. It's easy to miss. And I mentioned it like a couple years ago. So this one's a long time coming, and I'm hoping that I can get him some attention because they're rich guys.
Yep, you got South 54th and Highland right there. Those are both on our list.
Thank you. Cordell?
And Carlos, can you provide an update where we are with the speed bumps along, because I live on 45th and Wall. Is there any, can you provide a status on that?
Speed humps on 45th and Wall?
Correct. Speed bumps.
I haven't seen anything from engineering for that area yet. We do have something from engineering on 37th and Wall, which is a traffic calming project that's in the works. But it's not speed humps. It's more of a section of delineators. The next speed humps that we have scheduled to install are on South 55th between Santa Clara and El Cerrito city limits. We have those. Engineering's drawn them up. We worked with them. We're going to install them now. We're getting them scheduled. Those are the next set of speed humps.
Thank you. Any questions online?
Yeah, there's, I don't know who RNCC.
It's me.
Oh.
Okay.
Me.
Rita, you have a question?
Hi, Carlos. I'm just calling to report potholes on Collins and Williams and Collins and Morton, and they're getting worse and worse.
What was the second street you said?
Morton, Collins and Williams, and Collins and Morton.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. No problem.
Any other questions online? Anybody in the Garland, and then Jan?
Hello, Carlos. All around the hill that Tehama goes across, Burlingame, Mendocino, Shasta. First, East Bay Mud came out and dug up places all over the hill, and now PG&E's out there. Have they communicated anything with you about what they're trying to accomplish? Because they've been out there for 2 months. They dig a hole, they fill it, and then they come back again and dig the same hole someplace else.
Yeah. I'm not really sure what PG&E is doing. We haven't coordinated with them much, but we do coordinate with East Bay Mud quarterly. We give them our paving list and make sure that they're not going to cut into a brand new street for the most part. I know they're installing new pipelines on Tehama and, you know, any other streets in that area, but I know for sure Tehama because we got a call about that one. East Bay Mud will come back and do basically a 12-foot pass of new asphalt once they're done, but they try to get a whole section done before they call their contractor in. And they might be a little bit behind because of all the rain that we had, but wherever East Bay Mud went, they will come behind and fix the asphalt.
Very good. Jan?
Carlos, on Lincoln between 24th and 26th, Veolia dug up the street, and there's probably 15, 20 holes there. They patched everything. I just don't know how well that's going to hold up after we've I mean, it's only been a few years since we did the, we asphalted the whole thing. So it was Veolia, because they closed off the street twice, and went out there. And then, thank you for the stop sign at 24th and Esmond. And has anybody in engineering started to think about the painting the red for the crosswalks that will go into effect next year, not this year? Or they thought about, there's a new law that you can't park within 20 feet of a crosswalk. So we'll have to paint everything red so people don't park there. Not that they follow those rules, but.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, honestly, that's the first that I heard of that. I'll have to get with the engineering team. I haven't heard of that. Lincoln 24th to 26th, we just paved that. That's sad to hear.
I know.
That's sad to hear. I didn't know Veolia was doing any work on that, but I will check on that with our construction inspectors and see what they got going on there.
Yeah, I don't know Veolia. It seemed like it was right after the issues in Point Richmond. So I don't know what but it's only one block. I mean, from 24th to 26th. I didn't mess up the rest of the street, but it was kind of like, and they came twice, and I'm like, how many holes can you dig,
Yeah.
So they did that. But yeah, the crosswalk thing, it actually it became a law this year in January, but it's not going to go in effect until next year because that's a lot of, 20 feet's a whole lot of stuff around crosswalks. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that people were thinking about it. And just, the lovely painted red painting that you did on 29th between McBride and Wendell. They figure if they don't park on the street are completely on the street. They're not parking in the red. It's quite
Yeah.
fun. It's only
Yeah.
one or two people, so, but it's still, you know, there's a guy with a big pickup truck and he'll park there and I'm like, you can't see anything. What good is it doing? But
Yeah.
thank you for all you've done. We appreciate it, believe me.
Yeah. We're trying. I will look into that though. Thank you for that notification.
And I also, before I let you go, I wanted to let you know that a lot of the red curbs in the Fairmead Hilltop neighborhood, especially around the college, need to be repainted. They're pretty faded. So if you could put that on your list for when it dries up and you have a chance, I'd appreciate it.
You got it.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for your presentation and have a good evening.
Okay, you too.
Carlos, you might as well make the red curbs for the entire city.
Yeah.
There's one more question, Carlos.
Okay.
Philip?
Hey, thank
Mr.
you.
Rosenthal?
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Carlos, I think I may have brought this up a couple months ago, and I've sent you an email and also to Topic. It is, and I misspoke in January. It is the Richmond Pacific Railroad crossing on Cutting at 4th in front of the Burger King. That is those metal and concrete, I have no idea what they're called. Those metal and concrete blocks are now worse than ever. They rattle when you go over them, and they're sticking up about 6 inches, which is enough to, basically it's a concrete and metal block in the middle of the road. It's enough to flatten a tire or wipe something out. And it's getting way worse. I've just sent you some video, and I thought it was you, or it may have been Hector Rojas, who said they might be able to pressure Richmond Pacific to fix that. I know that there was a phone and email campaign from residents in Santa Fe and Point Richmond. So they are definitely aware of it. I've called them over a dozen times. Do you know anything
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, you did tell me about that at one of the previous RNCC meetings, and I did call them. I didn't receive a call back. I will call them again and check on that though.
Thank you so much. It's something bad's going to happen there, I think.
Thank you, Philip. Thanks again, Carlos. And I guess this is the time when we let you go. Get some rest.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys have a good night.
Thank you, you too. So next up, we have Richmond Police Department Lieutenant Decious. Are you there?
I am. I'm trying to, there we go. I think I got my video working. Good evening, everyone. Lieutenant Donovan Decious, Richmond Police.
Delicious is on the screen.
What's that?
Oh, nope. Pardon me. I thought I was muted.
All right. There you go, Philip.
You are now.
Lieutenant Donovan Decious, Richmond Police, Southern District Lieutenant, and in charge of traffic and special events. I'll start off with just going over some statistics. I'll try to make this as short as possible since it looks like we've kind of a busy night. Citywide, we have a little bit of an increase in some robberies, up 17%. We're down about 19% in aggravated assaults and up about 12% in vehicle thefts. And we stayed with one homicide from January and one in February. And I can get into that a little bit if needed. District-wise, the Southern District had 0 change in homicides. The robberies up about 18%. And aggravated assaults are down 36%. And vehicle thefts are down 17%. In Central District, we have a increase in robberies of 25%. Aggravated assaults are 56% down, and vehicle thefts are down 38%. In the Northern District, we did have one homicide earlier in the month of February. That was up near Lancaster and Aberdeen. And in discussion with our Lieutenant of Investigations, they're actively working it, and there is no threat to the public at this point. So they're hoping for an arrest pretty soon. but they are actively working it. We have a 10% increase in robberies and a 31% decrease in aggravated assault in Northern District and a 24% decrease in vehicle thefts. In terms of staffing for us right now, we are currently down 29 sworn and down 20 non-sworn. I believe we have 7 officers or maybe 9 officers in training right now. 7 of them are set to get off within the next month or month and a half. So it's going to help with our staffing issues quite tremendously. We are hoping to, at some point this year, get our traffic unit back as a freestanding solo unit. That's going to depend on some of the staffing needs. And we have recently, in terms of our parking enforcement, so we have 6 parking enforcement representatives for the first time in several years. And we've recently started parking enforcement and the 2-hour enforcement on the 23rd Street corridor. So that's back up and going, but we are currently trying to examine and explore more ways for us to be equitable throughout other business districts within our city. So we can hopefully in the future, depending on which time it is, have 7-day-a-week citing of 2-hour parking, abandoned vehicles, red tagging, and then street sweeping. That's something we're trying to get up and running with Public Works and then approval from the council later this year. So much more to be determined on that. And then for Jan, I know on the 24th Street, you bring up several times about people on 24th Street, speeders, young ladies that are out and about at nighttime. Lieutenant Bashan and the Intel unit, as well with officers working extra, have conducted several operations over the last month or so, trying to impact that as much as we can. So hopefully you have seen some more presence by us in terms of the police. Other than that, that's all that I have right now. If you guys have questions, please let me know.
Any questions? Bryce?
Thanks for the report. I had a question in regards to, it bleeds over to unsheltered folks as well. There's a truck on the, that's been parked for about 2.5 months on the Parkway, the Greenway. And I've reported it a few times as well as used the app. And I was, almost every car that's been parked over there eventually goes up in flames, making it quite a dangerous thing for the unhoused population there, as well as the businesses nearby like Target. Can you comment on how I can best inform the police department or a different department in regards to abandoned vehicles?
I was muted, excuse me. Calling them in to 233-1214 is going to, our not emergency numbers is going to be the best way, especially back behind Target. We've had several individuals who are unhoused who have made their own, say, homes out of plywood, OSB, and things of that nature, versus calling the abandoned vehicle hotline on things like that, where it's in areas where there is a history of things catching on fire and becoming more of a hazard. I would go with the 233-1214 number, which is a non-emergency. And I will type that into the chat right now. Is that vehicle currently still there? I guess my question is.
He's saying yes.
It is? Okay. I will make a note of that and I will get that removed as soon as we possibly can.
Thank you.
As I type in
Cordell?
for you guys.
Yes, Lieutenant Decious, you just answered my question about, are you bringing back the traffic unit? Because I get a lot of complaints from the parents. They're afraid to drop their kids off at school because cars be flying by like at 20, 30 miles an hour. So I'm glad you answered that question. But the one concern that I had is, and I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but 7-Eleven on McDonald is becoming a real concern because every time I pass through there, people be hanging out there at all times of day. So hopefully you get to, hopefully there'll be some extra patrol around that area because it's getting more worse by the minute.
So it's a good thing you mentioned that. And I'm happy to say that we just did a traffic stop in that area, actually right in front of 7-Eleven, and someone was arrested. So we are continuing our increased presence in areas which have been brought to us by the community. And we're going to continue to try. We are still spread a little bit thin, but we are getting our numbers back up under the leadership of Chief French. So we anticipate that we're going to be able to provide more services in the future. And anytime you guys, I'll drop my email and my phone number here. So anytime you guys have questions, concerns, or comments, please feel free to send it my direction. I might not be responsible for specific areas, jurisdictions, or certain things in the city, but I can get it to the people which are in charge of it, and we can kind of work together to get it resolved.
Michelle has a question.
Yes, and I just wanted to echo the sentiment of Lieutenant Decious about making sure you call the non-emergency line, because we also have parking enforcement that responds to a lot of those cars that I'm thinking about behind Target and Targetville, that whole community, so that we can be able to make a response. So please do that. We also, I forgot to mention, have a crime prevention survey that we're doing right now of neighborhoods. And we hope that everybody will take a chance to fill it out. When I saw the results of some of the survey, and again, this is a selective survey because it's people who choose to take it, the number one concern was traffic, surprisingly. But I think that it's important for us to hear from you, so I hope that you all do take that survey. Thank you.
And I do want to add one thing. Philip had mentioned earlier about the railroad crossing over at 4th and Cutting. For someone who rides a motorcycle for work and going over that intersection, yeah, that is something. And I'll talk with Carlos offline. He's probably logged off, but trying to get that resolved sooner than later. Because even on a motorcycle, it's probably a bit more dangerous. In a car, it's still going to tear up your undercarriage. So I echo your concerns, Philip. So thank you.
So I have a question for you. The last homicide of 2023 and the first homicide of 2024 happened in my neighborhood. I'm at the Fairmead Hilltop, Shane area, around the college. I don't know if you're familiar with that area.
Yes,
and
sir.
I was just wondering, we know that the Lancaster apartments have been an issue since they were started. They are supposed to have their own security and own police department. Have you found that to be true, or is RPD going in there and policing the Lancaster apartments? The whole apartment, there's 1,000 apartments in there.
So it falls within the city of Richmond. It's our jurisdiction. So it is going to be our responsibility. They do have a security force. I don't know how many they have there at any given time. There are probably 2 to 4 at minimum in terms of security that drive around in golf carts. I've never known them to have an actual police force themselves. Since I've been here and I've been at this agency for about 19 years, I have never known them to have anything more than just security. So that's something I could definitely find out. I'll speak to the lieutenant who's the Northern District, and/or I can speak to the management at the actual department itself. But to answer your question, security, yes. I've never known them to have a police force.
And because we have so many homicides in our neighborhood, are you guys doing anything to increase the protection?
Nothing more than we're keeping the patrol officers aware of. So we have crime analysts, 2 very talented crime analysts, which look at calls for service, violent crimes, the kind of reports that we write. And we get weekly or biweekly intel bulletins, which are disseminated amongst patrol. And when there is an uptick in areas, we conduct where it could be additional security checks, or we can, just like in the 24th Street corridor, when I was speaking about Jan, about some of the the speeders and some of the prostitution, we do additional operations with our intel unit or other officers to saturate, for lack of a better term, to try to have more of a visible presence. We've done that a couple times up in that area, but it seems like that the homicides, and I don't want to speak too much out of turn, it seems like they're relatively isolated incidents. But I also don't want to get too in-depth with the homicide investigation But we are aware of the last 2 homicides being in that area. And it's something that, speaking with the lieutenant of the Northern District, Lieutenant Dean, and the crime analysis, that we can look into potentially getting some additional enforcement efforts up there. Absolutely.
And I guess I would talk to the chief about blind spots for the shot spotters on Shane. There are some blind spots. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but I could show them to you, and I'll bring it up with the chief, I guess.
Yeah, please do. I mean, ShotSpotter for us is it's an amazing piece of equipment that helps us isolate and then locate, potentially victims and or suspects. So yes, please do.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, Lori's got a question, and then Garland.
Yes, I'll ask you the question that I continuously ask the head person in control. As far as cameras for neighborhoods, in particular hotspots, when are you guys still looking into that? Are you rolling out some cameras? And Parchester is more than willing to have you come and put some cameras, and I have strategic places on where they need to be located. So when you guys start rolling out to the areas, please let us know.
We do have more cameras coming. I don't have all the locations right now, but they have been putting up additional cameras. I don't know if it's in Parchester or not, but we can talk offline, and I can talk to the chief, or I can talk to the captain in charge of investigations and get back to you on that for sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Garland, last question.
Hello, Lieutenant Decious. The city council years ago dictated that big trucks could not go up Cutting. They had to go down 580, cross Central to Interstate 80 to get around the edges of the city. Recently, more and more of the trucks are now taking off at Bayview and going down Carlson and getting on Interstate 80. Both situations are not exactly ideal for that neighborhood, but it's going to probably become more and more of a problem because they try to make the corner fast getting on Interstate 80, and there has been 1 or 2 trucks that have flipped over there in the past.
All right. Well, thank you. I guess that was more of a comment than a question.
Well, he's going to be dealing with it in the future.
Yeah.
So if I could just, I'll make a comment on that. We do have, once traffic comes back, we'll have an officer dedicated strictly to traffic commercial enforcement. So that's going to be something that will be put on his radar, and you will see a lot more. I'm going to anticipate seeing a lot more enforcement action in terms of those kind of violations. So it is on our radar, and it's something that we definitely need in this city. So thank you.
Well, thank you for your presentation. I guess we look forward to seeing you next month, and we will be sending you some emails with some more questions. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Take care. Next, we have Richmond Fire Department. Oh, no, Richard Diaz, are you still with us? Richard?
Yes, good evening. I'm still here. Thank you all again. I'll start very briefly. We'll report out. So again, just good evening again. My name is Richard Diaz, and I've been recently hired as the Emergency Services Manager with the Richmond Fire Department. And I want to also take this opportunity to briefly explain my role. In coordination with city colleagues and external partners, I'm heavily involved in community preparedness efforts, which include public education, training, and ensuring that the community is familiarized with relevant resources ahead of emergency situations. Also in coordination with city colleagues and external partners, those external partners are county counterparts, industry partners, NGOs, et cetera. I'm also involved with revision and development of emergency response plans and strengthening our emergency operations center functions, to name a few. I'm also English and Spanish bilingual, so I look forward to integrating and expanding that approach to non-English speakers. What has been done in the last, my first 3 months? Again, I was hired in early December. So up until now, coming from an outside jurisdiction, I do live in the North Bay area. actually also worked with the city of San Rafael and the county of Sonoma. Understanding Richmond as a jurisdiction has been, a priority for me. Its unique profile and the industry players that make up what Richmond is today. That includes Chevron, the rail and manufacturing industry, et cetera. I've been continuing to identify work priorities and strategic areas of engagement focused on community needs, and also understand the city's position within the wider Contra Costa County, as well as the city's limitations in order to find ways to complement resources. The city, as you know, cannot do it all, so we need to be very clear in what is it that we can do, how we should then prioritize based on those limitations. And also maintaining the community informed. That's something that I know it's critical. The community deserves to know, be in the know of what is not only going on, but what is about to happen. That is my perspective in terms of keeping people aware ahead of a situation of risk. For instance, the recent winter weather season, which is now ending, but just ensuring that people are aware of what is it that might, become a widespread flood situation. We had landslides last year, as you all remember, traffic incidents. So just ensuring that we jumpstart that engagement, especially via social media, Nextdoor, Twitter, et cetera. And looking at enhancing our local emergency notification processes via Everbridge, which is formerly Nixle. I know there's been a lot of hesitance in terms of understanding, the community wireless system, for instance, which is a county specifically managed platform. However, we in City of Richmond, we have a specific a role in ensuring that in those things that are not under the county's role, we need to ensure that we have that appropriate protocol in place. So things of note for the community. So also we've been working on what is called a multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan. So this plan is it's a 5-year plan that needs to be revised every 5 or 6 years per requirement by FEMA. So what it is a county-led process. In this case, the Contra Costa County is a led process which involves every jurisdiction in Contra Costa to really assess what are the hazards that exist in the county. And not only that, but also identifying the activities that you will do to mitigate or minimize those impacts. So we've been doing that. The last time we were part of this plan was in 2018. So we are revising the last version. The county is looking at having this plan drafted in 2024. So we are moving ahead with that and providing our share of what is it that we consider hazardous within the Richmond jurisdiction, and what are those key things that we need to do. As a whole, we do have a core planning team representing the city, evaluating what are those things that we need to further look at. The good thing about this plan, or actually the relevance of it, is it's a FEMA mandated plan for every county, every state as well, because that is an instrument that leverages funds to help you then tackle those mitigation efforts. And we're talking about, creating a wall or strengthening specific structures, those sort of things that are quite costly. This plan needs to be in place in order, and those mitigation actions need to be listed in order for them to be considered or potentially funded. Also, and it was briefly mentioned earlier, we are rolling out the spring version of the 2024 CERT training. CERT, as you know, stands for Community Emergency Response Team. This is sponsored by the fire department. We will be starting it next Thursday, March 28th, for 9 consecutive classes every Thursday from 6 to 9, as Will mentioned earlier. And it's ending with a drill, a practical drill, on May 25th. So unfortunately, the spaces are all already full. There was a very good marketing of this event and very good interest from the community. However, those that are still interested, I do encourage you still to get in touch with the registration team. We're also we'll be planning a fall version of this CERT training. So this is with the spring. Eventually, we'll also have a fall training because it's quite good. It follows a Contra Costa CERT Coalition curriculum, and really is a good opportunity for community members to learn about basic skills under a curriculum that is vetted by FEMA. The object of this is to be self-sustainable in moments that public safety may not be able to get to you in times of an emergency. So if you are someone that may be trained and may be able to help residents around you during an event, earthquake, to say the least, it will be instrumental because you will have learned basic life-saving skills such as light search and rescue, medical, like stop the bleed and things like that. Also, supporting other initiatives within this 3 months and looking ahead, supporting efforts, to secure grant opportunities, which is something very critical for community impact. One of them being a grant from the California Strategic Growth Council, focused on developing a community resilience center in Richmond, and that is being led by Pogo Park. So my office is supporting on delivering, helping secure that. And also another grant from the California Volunteers that is being spearheaded by Stephanie and I, which you'll probably hear more shortly. It is a huge effort that was undertaken, so my office will also help with that. So in general, that is my quick report out. I just want to let the neighborhood councils present here know that you can reach out to me directly for any questions, especially for intelligence that I'm always open to learn about. Intelligence that will help me better understand the preparedness and response capacity at your community level, and to know about your ideas, because I am very clear that it isn't always a top-down approach to to solving and addressing needs, but it's often bottom up, the right approach. It is at community level, that you understand the best approaches, the hazards around you. So we have that connection and that clear communication of what is or would be the best way to go about things, then we can achieve great things. So my email is same city format, richard_Diaz@ci.richmond.ca.us. And if there's any questions now, I'm more than happy to answer them. Thank you.
Do you have a phone number?
Yes, I do. Office is 510-307-8161. And I also have a city work cell. That's 510-890-5076.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Just wanted to say thank you for your service and congratulations and welcome to our community.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Any other questions? Any hands up on Zoom? Well, thank you for your presentation. Greatly appreciated, and I'm sure we'll be seeing more of you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, next we have Chief Michael Smith from the Fire Department.
Yes, good evening. This is Interim Fire Chief Michael E. Smith, and I'm happy to be with you this evening. Some exciting things have been happening in the fire department. We recently had a badge pinning ceremony where we promoted 4 engineers, 1 captain, 3 fire inspectors, and a battalion chief to training. So we had a nice ceremony in the council chambers, and we're just really happy that those people were prepared to move into those other positions, to take on some new responsibilities. We also have the Richmond El Cerrito Joint Fire Academy in progress right now. They're halfway through their 14-week training. This is a regional academy. Richmond has 9 recruits. El Cerrito has 3. So at the end of their 14 weeks, they will graduate and become probationary firefighters in their respective departments, where they will go through a little more training with, on the fire engine and the truck out there with supervision. And then after about a month or so out there, they'll be ready to fill the positions that they will be moved into. So we're happy to fill those positions. And we're in the budget season right now, so we are developing our budget for this next fiscal year. We have a lot of things happening, and just really exciting times here in the fire department. And that's a quick report for me. Are there any questions?
Yes. At our last, this is Lori from Portchester Village Neighborhood Council. At our last meeting, we had a question about the red curb paintings for the fire hydrants in Portchester, because as though there are several fire hydrants where the curbs are not red and people are parking there. And in talking to the lieutenant, we were told to get with the fire department and let them know, I guess so you guys can come out and paint those red. Is that your department that would handle that?
Fire does not paint them. We will work with Public Works because they are the ones that do the curb painting. So do you have a list? Or, well, I'll just have the guys go out and cruise the area to find out which areas need to be addressed, and we will coordinate with Public Works.
Great. Portchester isn't that large, and so I'll help you. I think the churches are the only ones that have the red curbs. So thank you. That would be appreciated.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Any questions online? Well, thank you. Thank you, Chief.
You're quite welcome.
Thanks again. So moving on, we've got, do we have anyone from the mayor's office? She's on? Yeah. I don't know. I can't see it.
Hi, I'm here.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Good evening, everyone. Hope you're doing well. I'll keep my comments brief in case anyone has any questions for me this evening. I wanted to first announce that the mayor's office has partnered with the Richmond Chamber of Commerce on an exciting initiative. We're doing an inaugural Best of Richmond this year. So I'm sure you've all seen that El Cerrito does this regularly, and we've now started in Richmond. It allows the Richmond community to vote for their favorite businesses in over 100 categories, including retail, restaurants, professional services, and many more. Participation is free for businesses of all sizes. And so this is an initiative that we've partnered with the chamber on in order to promote our local businesses. If you're interested in learning more information or nominating one of your local businesses, feel free to reach out to 510-234-3512. This information can also be found on the mayor's website at mayoreduardo.com. So it's a nice way to promote our local businesses. We also wanted to let everybody know about the 17th annual Sisters in Solidarity event this coming Saturday. It will be at the Lavanya Dijon Middle School at 3400 McDonald, and it will be honoring late Mayor Irma Anderson. Another thing I wanted to announce is that the City Council several months ago voted to allocate ARPA funds to tenants and landlords that were experiencing issues with back rent due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And so any resident of Richmond that's at risk of eviction or with past due rent can apply for up to $3,000 in funding and also one-on-one counseling. So please make sure to disseminate this information to your local residents and neighborhoods. This is in an effort to keep people housed and create more housing stability in Richmond. I also wanted to announce or congratulate Richmond Little League on their opening day. That happened a week ago on the about a week ago on the 2nd. And the mayor's office is proud to announce that we are sponsoring our second under-9 Little League team. And so we were really excited to join with local businesses, the police department, and community members to kick off Little League in Richmond. And I'm going to keep this short. So my last announcement is that YouthWorks youth employment program applications are now open. And so this is a program to help young Richmond residents from 18 to 24 get job training. It also provides support to local businesses, and the city of Richmond subsidizes the payroll of these young people that are employed in this program. And so the city is currently looking for businesses and organizations to help host these different youth applicants. If you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to Employment and Training or our office. And I will leave it there in case anybody has any questions for me.
Do we have any questions? Any questions online? Okay, I have 2 questions. I've been getting emails. People are concerned about the contract with Republic Services. They're concerned that we're going to lose our dumpster day and prices are going to go way up. Can you tell us where we're at with Republic Services and their contract?
Sure. So I don't think I would be a great person to answer this question. I think Samantha Carr, who follows me after this, is much more in touch with that because she's, I know, a key person managing that. My understanding is that right now that is out to bid. And so we are looking for, it's been put out to bid to see who will be our next trash provider, but I'm going to leave that to Samantha because she'll give you more accurate information there.
And then it was brought up earlier, there's a lot of discussion about the Craneway. Is there anything you'd like to add to the discussion or clarify?
Sure. So I don't know if I'll be adding anything, but as of right now, the city has received a proposal, and proposal is being sent to the State Lands Commission. That property, as I'm sure all of you know, is governed by the public trust doctrine, which governs all areas along bodies of water in California. And so there are certain allowable uses along bodies of water. The State Lands Commission gave that advice the last time that the developer submitted a proposal, and their first proposal was not in alignment. This was back in July of last year. So the proposal for a single-use pickleball club was not in alignment with the public trust doctrine. And because the city of Richmond is a trustee, we are basically making sure that whatever activities take place in the Craneway are adhering to the public trust doctrine. We've decided that the way to go about this is to first send any proposal the city receives to the State Lands Commission to see if it comports with the legal uses. So that's the first place that the city has decided makes the most sense to start, because it's the tail that wags the dog. If the State Lands Commission says that the proposal does not comport with the allowable uses, there's not really anything else, there's not really anywhere to go from there. So that's where we're starting. And that letter will be sent to the State Lands Commission. The goal is by tomorrow. And then we'll wait to hear back from the state and see what they say about the proposed use.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions, comments, concerns, anything online?
I got one. I just out of curiosity, I know that the process, because you said tomorrow gets submitted for that, the land use to find out the state. Just curious, was there a process involved, without going deeply into it, was there more than one entity that proposed for the location, made a proposal?
No, so this,
I was just curious.
and I am not a planning person, so I may muck this up a little bit. I'm sharing my understanding of this. But this property has been leased to a developer since 2004. So so that developer is, to put it crudely, in charge of this property and the activities that take place within it. So whenever there's a change in use, the city doesn't bid it out. As long as this developer follows certain guidelines, it's sort of, to put it crudely, it's sort of like if I rent out my house to someone and they are under a lease, there's certain things they can do while they're living in that house. And so that's been the case since 2004. So I know that the public is really frustrated by the lack of control that the city and residents seem to have over this particular property. And much of that lack of control was given away in 2004. So we are looking closely at the lease, we're looking closely at the proposal, and we're starting with the State Lands Commission. But I think I answered your question that whenever, there's a change, it's not going out to bid every single time, if that makes sense.
Thank you. That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks again. And if there are no more questions, I guess we'll bid you a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks again.
Oh, hold on. There is one more that just popped in.
Oh, she's
Shiva, are you still with us?
I am.
Lynn? 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 No. Okay. I guess.
Well, thank you for
She
your
withdrew
time.
her
I
hand,
guess
okay.
the question went away. Thanks again. Moving on, Samantha Carr from the City Manager's Office.
That's what it is. It's too late, Lynn.
Everybody's asking, who's the woman in the corner?
I told her I couldn't see that far.
Good evening, everybody. Is the mic on?
No.
Push it.
There we go. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here this evening. My name is Samantha Carr, Environmental Manager in the City Manager's Office, Economic Development Department. I just wanted to first note some dates that are coming up. Earth Day, which is Saturday, April 20th. There's going to be an event at Unity Park. And then I also think there will be a North Richmond event as well. Also, May is Bike Month. May is coming up, and Bike to Wherever Day is going to be Thursday, May 16th. Additionally, I wanted to note that the 2024 Richmond Promise scholarships are open for Richmond residents still. Visit richmondpromise.org/scholarships for details. Additionally, I wanted to mention a couple of energy efficiency and renewable energy programs that are available to any resident within the PG&E territory. So the first one is going to be the CARE program, and I included some flyers for all these programs out on the table outside. The first one is the CARE program, and so if you participate in any program mentioned or meet the income limits, then you qualify. So it doesn't have to be and, it can be either or. So if you have, if you've participate or qualify for the low-income home energy assistance program, Women, Infant, and Children WIC program, CalFresh, SNAP, CalWorks, TANF, Head Start, income eligible, supplemental security income, Medi-Cal for families, National School Lunch Program, Bureau of Native American Affairs, General Assistance, Medicaid, Medi-Cal, under 65 or over 65. So if anybody in your household qualifies for any of those, then you qualify for CARE. And then if you don't have participated in any of those programs, then you can see if you qualify via the income guidelines. So For a 4-person home, it's 60,000 or less. If you are a family and you don't participate in any of those programs, you don't meet those income qualifications, and you are a 3-person household or more, you might qualify for the FARA program, which is between about 49,000 to 62,000 if you are in a 3-person home, and it goes up from there. So those are the CARE program and the FARA program. The CARE program gets you about 20% discount on your electricity bill, and the FARA Family Electric Rate Assistance Program gets you about an 18% discount. So if you qualify for CARE, you will qualify for free solar through Grid Alternatives. So their income limits are about the same. Also, the great thing about the no-cost solar program is it's with the nonprofit Grid Alternatives. So if you're interested in solar and you might also be interested in transitioning to an electric car, they can also help with that. The exciting news is that we recognize for the 1 to 2-person home, the 39,000 income limit's pretty low. So through our TCC grant, the Transformative Climate Communities grant, we're able to offer no-cost solar as well as no-cost energy efficiency upgrades to homes within the project area. So that's the Iron Triangle, Santa Fe, Coronado, and portions of the Marina and Stige neighborhoods. That income limit for a 1-person household is $78,550. If you're a 4-person household, it's $112,150. And so you can get no-cost solar. If you're interested in an electric vehicle, you can also get that. And then you can also participate in their energy efficiency program, which is through their partnership with MCE. So those are the 3 programs that I wanted to mention, and the flyers are out on the table. If you are in if you are in the project area neighborhood or in a portion of it and you'd like to receive a presentation from MCE or Grid Alternatives, please feel free to contact me. They would love to do a presentation for any of those neighborhoods in the project area. Or in terms of Grid Alternatives, if you're not in the project area, but you're in one of their qualifying census tracts, they would also be happy to give a presentation just about their regular program. That's not the TCC program. Those were my updates. Open for questions.
Do we have any questions?
I'm not sure. I think she was. Lynn, was this a question from the previous, or do you have a question?
Well, I will ask the same question I asked the mayor's office. There's a lot of concern about Republic Services and their contract, and prices going up, and we live on fixed incomes, and the dumpster day, are those going to go away? Can you tell us where we're at with the Republic Services contract? Or
Yes, absolutely. So Shiva is correct. It's currently still out for bid. Because we don't have any responses, we can't really say if prices are going to go up. I do want to note, though, that within the RFP, we did try to include a lot of the programs that were mentioned during our community outreach. So, we're looking into potentially one of the things that we were looking into and included as a potential program that could be included as we move forward with a franchise agreement is looking for a low income discount. So that would probably be based off of the CARE income limits. Also, we're looking into doing a multifamily bulky item pickup program. Currently, it's only for single family and duplex homes, so looking at if we can expand that. Also trying to see if we could do a voucher program similar to what's in North Richmond as well as San Pablo. We would absolutely be keeping the dumpster days. We love the dumpster days. We're really not trying to get rid of those in any way, shape, or form. So we're definitely, we tried to take the input from the community that we received during the process, and we're trying to see if there's a way to include those in the future.
so as of right now, you're saying there are no other bidders?
It's hard to say. It's something where we haven't received any responses yet. It's because we're still a bit a ways from the due date. So I really can't say at this point one way or the other.
That's fair.
That might be repetitive on what he said, on your second question, what I was gonna ask.
ahead,
If it's repetitive, I just wanted to say, because you said that there's bidding going on, I just wanted to ask if there is a bidding deadline.
Yes, I believe it's the 15th. So this Friday?
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you.
So yes, yeah. Is there any other questions?
Do we have any other questions? Anything online? No?
Oh,
Well,
here
of course.
comes Lynn again. All right. Go ahead, Lynn. You need to unmute, Lynn.
Okay, I had a question about the Craneway before, and it's gone. Just to say that on the website, it said it's going to open on February 24th, 2024 rather. Okay, 2024. About the dumpsters, I live in at the beach in Marina Bay, and we are not allowed to have big pickups except if we pay extra for them, unlike the single family or duplex, whatever. My question is, how many we have 133 units. Are you going to be able to, is that part of the contract that the bigger, larger groups will be able to get a dumpster at least once a year?
So that was a comment that we received from the community, and I know that's definitely on a couple of radars for council members. So part of what we included in the RFP is seeing if it would be possible for the large condos or HOAs to receive a discount if they were to request a large dumpster. So it's not something that it could be a no-cost situation. It doesn't seem like that would be feasible, and we are concerned about pricing and the rates, the base rates. So we did try to include something that asked if there could be a discount for when those requests are made.
That
Can you
sounds
clarify
very good, because we pay a great deal once a year to get large things picked up. But we also have a lot of seniors. And so I know with seniors, they get things picked up. And it seems to me that it has to go we should be able to get as many things as other people. And that's the end of my comment.
And just to clarify, so that would be separate than the neighborhood dumpster days. So those would still, we would still try to be doing those for every neighborhood. The seniors, all neighborhoods currently, seniors can call in advance, and the abatement division staff will come pick it up the Friday before the Saturday event. So definitely want to spread the word with that currently, and that's something we definitely want to try to keep in terms of the neighborhood dumpster days moving forward.
So I just wanted to see if you can clarify for those that don't know what a RFP is.
Yes, request for proposal. So it's part of a competitive bidding process. So there's multiple different types of requests. There's a request for proposals, a request for qualifications, as well as a request for bids. Thank you for that clarification. I appreciate that question.
No worries. Thank you. Are there any more questions? No? Well, thank you for your presentation. Greatly appreciated.
And if there are any other solid waste related questions in the future, please feel free to contact me. I'm happy to answer any questions regarding that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I see Miss Stephanie Nye patiently waiting. Yeah, so Stephanie Nye from Community Services.
All right. Good evening, everyone. This is Stephanie Nye, Community Services Department and Staff Liaison to the RNCC. As usual, I'd like to start my updates with reminders for services for neighborhood councils. You have access to use our community centers for your regular meetings at no cost. You also have access to a free annual event. Please feel free to contact us if you haven't already reserved your facilities for your meetings, or if you want to schedule your free event. Neighborhood councils also have access to our printing and mailing services 4 times a year or more if you don't utilize the mailing services as often. Please give us a call or email us at neighborhoods@ci.richmond.ca.us to receive more information and to coordinate your print job request. Also, the dumpster day schedule, as I mentioned last time, it has been finalized. Please do not publicize the dates beyond your neighborhood. That's how we try to keep outside participants from overwhelming us on the day of the event. In terms of what we've done in February, I just want to highlight a few things. We held our recreation community cleanup at the recreation complex on Saturday, February 24th. We had over 40 volunteers join us to paint over graffiti, lay down landscape fabric, and mulch our community center grounds, and it looks really, really great. Check it out if you haven't yet. On that same day, we also held our Black History celebration at the Richmond Auditorium, and we had 155 people in attendance. This is an annual celebration, so if you didn't have a chance to attend, stay tuned for our next one. I also want to remind everybody that if you'd like to lead your own volunteer community beautification event, we have the Love Your Block in-kind sponsorship program available, where you can request up to $1,000 in supplies for your project. And if any of you have been to Lucas Park or to Mendocino Park recently, the work that's being done there is through the in-kind sponsorship program, of course, through the leadership of Richmond volunteers. In terms of new programs, we have Youth Outdoors Richmond starting Wednesday, March 20th. Middle and high school youth can participate on Wednesdays and Saturdays. It's a free program where you get to go camping, sailing, bicycling, and more. We provide all the supplies for you and the transportation. And it's a really great program funded by the State of California Outdoor Equity Grant. This cohort for spring, we're going to be going overnight camping at the San Luis Reservoir in Central California. And again, this transportation is provided, tents are provided, sleeping bags are provided. You just need to bring your change of clothes and your hygiene products. So that program starts Wednesday, March 20th. Would highly recommend if you have any kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews, anybody you know in your neighborhood that wants to attend that. It's been a great program. We're also still accepting registration for our spring break camp. That will take place April 1st through April 5th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can contact our registration office to register. We have our first floating egg hunt on March 16th. That's this Saturday at the Richmond Swim Center. This will include a pool egg hunt and playtime, as well as a goodie bag. There are 2 afternoon sessions available, and you must pre-register to participate. In addition to that, we have our annual regular spring egg hunt at Nickel Park on the following week, March 23rd at Nickel Park. And then on Saturday, April 27th, we have Park Prescription Day. That's our annual event. We invite you guys. RNCC tabled last year. We loved having you there. Would love to have you again. And these are just some of the highlights of our newer programs that are coming up. But as Garland mentioned, we have an endless amount of services and programs we're offering. Please feel free to check out our website, which has our activity guide. Feel free to contact us if you're looking for a specific program for your family or for your neighbors. But we have a lot going on. And I think that covers it. Any questions?
I thought you were just getting started. Do we have any questions? No questions. Any questions? Well, thank you.
Well, I do have,
Jen has a question.
This Saturday, we're doing a cleanup at Wendell Park, and I never thought about using the in-kind Love Your Block, because we usually just go to the city and go to the tool lending library and get everything. But yeah, that's a great idea. I'm gonna add that to my thing. Where would I find the application?
Just go to richmondloveyourblock.org. That'll redirect you to our program website on the city website.
Thank you.
And feel free to contact me too.
Garland?
Previously, you were mentioning trying to get a grant from the state for a large sum of money. Has any of that come to fruition?
Oh, what was the last part of what you said? I'm sorry.
Has any of that come to pass?
Oh, when we have information, we will let you know as soon as possible.
Can you tell the listeners about the mini grants that the city offers?
Yeah, so the Love Your Block one
Yeah.
specifically?
The $1,000?
I'm sorry,
The $1,000 grant or, yeah, the mini grants.
the mini grants are the $10,000 ones, and then the sponsorships, $1,000 of supplies, so
Yeah, the $1,000 one.
that's the one I just, oh, yeah, so we have the Love Your Block in-kind sponsorship program where you can receive up to $1,000 worth of supplies for your projects. So if you want to, paint over some graffiti or do some painting, if you want to do a trash cleanup, if you want to help maintain some of our areas, like if you wanted to adopt a spot within your local park, for example, that's exactly what they've done at Mendocino and Lucas Parks. They reached out to me and they decided to plant pollinators at those two parks. And now they're, now it looks a lot more beautiful. It's being maintained by the volunteer group there. So I think these are good opportunities for longer term maintenance projects in our public spaces, but they're also good for one-time events too.
Thank you. Any other questions? Well, thank you, Stephanie, as always. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, moving on to old business, do we have any old business? Any old business? I'm sorry. I guess the only old business we have is working on new policies for new neighborhoods and so forth. So this is going to be an ongoing issue for us. And then new business, do we have anything under new business that anybody would like to discuss? Oh, look at Cordell.
Yes, I do have a couple items for new business. So I think I mentioned it a couple months ago. I did send you an email regarding to invite Ms. Tanya to come and speak to you all about the her nonprofit organization called Community to. It just, the name just drew a blank on me. So I was like, because I mentioned it at the June, I ran into her at the Juneteenth celebration. I was like, I was interested in hearing more about her organization. So I brought it to the board to see if they would consider having Ms. Tanya to come speak to you all at a future date to tell us more about it, because it does relate it to mental health advocacy and other things. So that's one suggestion. And then the other thought I had in mind was, if you recall when Eduardo came back in November, he mentioned about the port. And so one of the things that dawned on me, I said, if we would have the new port director, Mr. Gerard, to come to talk, so he can introduce himself to you all, to see what he has in mind for the port as long term. So those are a couple of thoughts that I had.
Thank you.
There is a question that popped up. Crystal has a question for Stephanie. Go ahead, Crystal. Stephanie's still here. Crystal? You're muted. Unmute. Unmute. You're fine. Just come on and unmute.
I muted. My apologies. My question was, the $1,000 grant, is that a one-time a year, or like if you had several projects which like that you wanted to do in your neighborhood, would you apply, several times for the grant for each individual project, or is it only offered to you one time in a certain time period?
So you could be awarded for one project a year. However, you can spread that across, a few events. So like what they're doing at Mendocino Park, for example, is so far they've had 2 work parties. So it's technically one project. It's Mendocino Park, right? But they've utilized the funds throughout the course of the fiscal year.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie.
No problem.
And so do we have anything under new business? Anyone? Last call? Okay. And before we adjourn, I'd like to thank the mayor's office for making these certificates that I received at the NAACP Awards. On behalf of the RNCC, we have a couple left for neighborhood council presidents because it's all, the award was given to all of us, so I just wanted to share that. And then, is there anyone that would like to close the meeting with the passing of anyone? If not, I also wanted to say that my niece was just had a double mastectomy, and it's important for you ladies to get checked out. She was checked out. They didn't catch it in time, so, but there are people that love you, so go get checked out. It's important. And if nobody has anything they'd like to add before we close, I'll go ahead and close the meeting. Going once? I see rocks over there. Going twice? Okay. I will close this meeting at 9:11, Monday night. Thank you, March 11th. Thank you.